Hey everybody, my name is Brienne and this is my chameleon Carlo. Today in this video I'm just going to go over some basic care for veiled chameleons. It's quite easy, you can also find it online if you go to care sheets, but if you're in a rush and just want a quick overview on baby veiled chameleons, grown-up veiled chameleons, and all about them, keep on watching. So ever since I got a chameleon, so many people have asked me, why chameleon? Or, oh my god, I want a chameleon. Should I get a chameleon? And the first thing I want to talk about is that chameleons are advanced reptiles, and what that means is that they need a lot of work and constant looking after. So when people ask me if they should get a chameleon, I'm like, well, if you can put the same amount of time in to a chameleon as you do a puppy, then I think you'd be fine. Another thing too is if you're thinking about getting a chameleon, I can't stress enough, is do your research. I honestly researched probably for over a year before I actually even got my chameleon. And I knew a few people that have had them too. So I've asked so many questions. If you also go, if there's a chameleon forum, it's actually legitly called ChameleonForums.com. They have a ton of people with so many useful information. If you have any questions, go there, and you can go there, and I'm sure you'll find your answers. Another thing too is that this, like I said, this is my first reptile ever, so I did a year's of research. I've known people ask so many questions, so I knew what I was getting myself into when I purchased my little fella here. Another thing I want to stress as well is that so many people want chameleons thinking that, oh my god, they're going to be the cutest little reptile ever, my little buddy, just like Tangled. They're not like that. They're not friendly. Some of them are tamed, but a lot of times they are going to be cranky little assholes and not want to be held. They'll even probably hiss or even want to bite you. This guy, Carlo, he's hissed at me a few times. He'll hiss at me if I get too close to him. He'll puff up, go give me a little although, with that being said, there are some chameleons that are super friendly and like being held, like coming out of their cage. Unlike Carlo, the only time he'll come out of his cage is on his own terms and not on mine. So when I put my hand in my cage, he could care less. He'll go run and hide and tell me to F off, pretty much. Alright, so I did mention that chameleons aren't the friendliest creatures, and they're extremely territorial, like especially veiled chameleons. Often I will literally watch from my bed. He'll be patrolling his whole enclosure, bottom, top, middle. That's because he's pretty much patrolling either for insects, predators. He's always on the move, checking his surroundings. And then now that we're talking about enclosures, I do want to talk about where I house my chameleon. I house him in an 18 by 18 by 36 screen cage. It's ideally, people would want to get a 24 by 24 by 48 inches, I believe, cage for male veiled chameleons, but right now I don't really have the room in my room for that big of a cage, and he's still a juvenile. He'll be turning 9 months, I think, maybe in about a week or two. So he's not fully grown yet, so the 18 by 18 by 36 is still a really good cage for him. I do also let my chameleon out a lot too, so he free ranges along my curtains and around my room. So he does have a lot of room to roam and like get his exercise. Another thing too is, like, if you're thinking about getting a chameleon, some people say that when you first get your chameleon, you should get it in a smaller cage. I don't really think that's true unless they're really, really tiny and they just hatched. If they just hatched, you want to get them maybe in like, a lot of people, like a lot of breeders, will keep them in large Tupperware bins, and that is just to keep the humidity up, and it's going to help them easier to find their food. For me, I got Carlo when he was 4 months old, and I had him in a 12 by 12 by 12 cage, and then for me, I decided that it was a waste of money, and I moved him to his 18 by 18 by 18, 18 by 18 by 36 cage, like 2 weeks after I got him. And that's where he's lived ever since. And he's been doing fine. To be honest, the reason why they say small enclosed cage, like I said, humidity and help them to find their food. But if you're not letting your crickets free in the cage all the time, it's not really that big of a deal. I cup feed my chameleon, and I do hand feed him too, so he's always eating every day right now. So when you get your chameleon, or if you're thinking of getting a chameleon, you're going to need two kinds of lights. One is going to be your basking light, and the other is going to be your UVB light. So the UVB light is very essential. This is what gives them their sunlight, and it helps them digest their food and help their bones become strong, along with the calcium supplements, which I'll be talking about later. The basking light too, what I've read is you got to be very careful about your basking light, because if it is too close, if your chameleon is too close, like their basking perch is too close to the light, they can create burns, and it can become fatal because they can get really bad infections from that. Sorry, he's like going inside my little like cupboard, and it's really slippery over there, so he might fall. But I also have a lot of like strings and like cords hanging down, so I think he'll be okay. But yeah, so I think my basking light and my UVB light are both 75 watts. A lot of times too, people say you can just use a regular house bulb for your basking light, but for me, I'm like, whatever, I'm just gonna go to the pet store. It's literally like $14 just to get a light, and it lasts me about 4 months. You should be changing your lights too regularly, just because they do lose that wattage and power throughout when they get older. For the basking spot too, chameleons need a temperature at least about an 85 Fahrenheit for their basking spot, and I believe it can be as low as, I think, 65 to 70 in like the lower of the cage. Another thing too, when I first got my chameleon, I was so worried of turning off the lights at night. Chameleons don't really need a warm temperature. As long as your house isn't below 10 degrees Celsius, then I think you're okay. He's never had any problems with it being cold at night. He's always been perfect. But with that being said, if you do live in a really cold place that's always cold, or maybe your house is super cold all the time, I would maybe get a heat emitter. But you don't need a red light or any nighttime lights on at all. The reason because of that is that they need to sleep. They sleep like us. They sleep 12 hours on, 12 hours off. So his schedule right now for his lights are 7:30 to 7:30 at night right now. So humidity is a very big thing for chameleons as well. So ideally you do want to keep their humidity in their enclosure anywhere between 40 and 70. I live in Canada right now, so continental, so it is quite dry where I'm from. So I did recently buy a humidifier, and I just keep it in his cage. Carlo hated it at first, and now he just doesn't really care about it too much, but it helps helps that humidity get higher for me. Another thing too is to keep that humidity high is you could add live plants. I've done so, but I've had problems with my live plants in the past, either dying or getting too moist and fungus is growing. And that's a big no-no. I don't want him getting sick, so I took that all out. Another thing too is what I do have up right now. My cage is just in the corner of my room, so I do have 2 sides of the cage covered in just a tablecloth. That's going to help keep my walls dry and then free from mold, and that's also going to help keep the humidity in that corner. I also do have a big dripper that you just got at a pet store. Some people have mixed feelings about this. You can make your own. It's totally cheap with a water bottle. But mine is actually working, I guess. It's not. Some people have complaints of the big dripper either not working at all or working too fast. Mine works fine right now, so I'm still keeping that up. The Big Dripper, it will keep the humidity up, as well as spraying the cage will also keep the humidity up, and those two things will also help keep your chameleon hydrated. So chameleons, they don't drink from still water, they drink from water dripping off the plants, off the walls, or running water. With that being said, you don't want to put a waterfall in your chameleon's cage, because then it's a breeding ground for bacteria, as well as in the wild when they see running water, any reptiles, they'll go and poop, urinate in it, also creating more bacteria for your chameleon to inhale, ingest, whatever. So that's a big no-no. The Big Dripper is good. My chameleon right now, you can't see him, he's on my little wall decoration in the back there. I've seen him occasionally attack the dripper to get water. Like, he'll literally like get his tongue to the dripper, or he'll bite the dripper to get water. So at least I know that he's still getting water if he's not getting water from me spraying him. Also, when you're spraying a chameleon's cage too, to keep the humidity up and to help them get a source of drinking water, if you don't have a mister, which can be quite expensive, you can hand mist, which I do. I literally just have this bottle right here, fill it up with warm water every day, and mist his cage about 3 times a day. I mist in the morning when I get up. Sometimes I mist at different times in the morning just because I don't always get up right at 7:30 when his lights go on. And then I mist around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then I do mist again an hour before his lights go off at 6 o'clock. This kind of helps give like good intervals and times to which he could drink, and I'll be quite honest with you, I haven't had any problems with him not drinking. So if you do mist at least 3 times a day for maybe about like 2 minutes a time, your chameleon should be good. But I would monitor them when they're young, or constantly, depending if they get sick or not, to make sure that they are drinking water. And the best way you can tell is through their urate. The urate is technically their pee, and it will come out with, if they're dehydrated, it's going to come out looking kind of orangish yellow. That's the white part that's going to come out of your chameleon. Long story short. So the next thing we're going to go into as well is feeding. Right now, I think the ideal source of food is crickets. It is the cheapest. Some chameleons get sick of them and they won't eat them anymore. So that's why it is a good idea to give them a variety of bugs and insects. You don't want to get bugs from your backyard, more so just because you don't know where they've been, you don't know if they have a disease or if they touch pesticides, which can harm your chameleon. So that's why it's always good to get them store-bought or from online, from a breeder. I feed Carlo crickets every day right now, and I dust the crickets as well with supplements, which I'll go into later. Once in a while I will feed him worms, but he doesn't go for them. His favorite is hornworms. He will eat those like that. But I've tried silkworms. He doesn't really like them that much. Butterworms, I literally bought a pack of 50 and he ate one and didn't touch the rest, so they all turned into moths. So when I first got Carlo at 4 months, he was probably eating about 4 to 6 small crickets a day. That's not a lot. A lot of times too, I would literally feed him as much as he could eat. So as soon as he ate one, I'd try to feed him another one, and if he'd take it, he'd take it. If he didn't, I'd put the food away until the next day. And nowadays, like right now, I'm feeding Carlo about 10 crickets a day? 10 to 12? He seems to eat it. Like, sometimes he won't. He'll leave 2 crickets and then they'll end up dying in his little bowl. But most of the time, he will eat them all. Although when chameleons do get older, you don't have to feed them every day. So when he reaches his year mark, which will be in October, I'll probably start feeding him once every few days. So I'll probably feed him maybe 3 to 4 times a week instead of every day, every 7 days. Okay, so let's go on to supplements for your chameleon. Ideally, you want to feed or dust your crickets with 3 different kinds of supplements. The first supplement you do want to dust every single day is calcium. Calcium is ideal for your chameleon. This is going to help them from not getting metabolic bone disease. This is going to keep them healthy and strong. And pretty much it's going to help your chameleon live longer. And the 2 other supplements that are essential too, one is a multivitamin, and then one is calcium plus D3, or you can just do D3 straight. With that being said though, these 2 supplements aren't to be fed every single day. They're to be fed maybe a few times a month. For me, I rotate my vitamins every 2 weeks. Well, I'll do the calcium, and then once in a while I'll do my multivitamin, and then on all his crickets for one day, and then the next day I'll do the D3. The D3 is pretty much helping, it's pretty much like with the vitamins that the sunlight gives to us and to the chameleons outside in the wild, when they're captive, they can't get that D3. So that's why we have to give them that as a supplement. D3 is very essential because, like I said, metabolic bone disease is very common in chameleons, and this is when pretty much when the bones are fragile or their growth is stunted because they don't have enough efficient vitamins in their body for them to grow. So anyways, if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment below. If I missed anything, let me know below as well. Or if I got any information wrong, let me know below and I'll be sure to fix it or update my video. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you do have any questions about my chameleon, I'll be sure to answer them for you in the comment section below. Check me out on Instagram at About Brianne or Brianne Patrick. I do have 2 different accounts. I do post Carlo constantly on my Brianne Patrick account. So if you want to see more cool pictures of Carlo, you can go there. Alright, perfect. Thanks for watching. Bye!